team on a chilly and blustery autumn day, but the good news is that it's not raining, which is what we somewhat feared, and after some fairly spectacular thunderstorms overnight, the track is still a little bit damp. The crowd's been pouring into the circuit since early this morning to enjoy the action, and we should be in for a real treat. Yesterday, Niels Langeveld put together an absolutely stellar performance to take the victory and really place one hand on the championship crown. He comes into today's race with a 20-point advantage over Stian Poulsen, and with just 25 points on offer. Poulsen's got to win the race and hope that Langeveld finishes in 8th or worse. Poulsen's task, however, is going to be a tough one because he picked up a 3-place grid penalty after contact with Alex Morgan in yesterday's race. So although he kept the 18 points he got for finishing in 2nd, Poulsen will be starting from 9th place in this reverse grid race. Because if you are new to the Seat Leon Euro Cup, to explain that the grid for Sunday's race has the top 10 cars from qualifying reversed in order, which makes for a very lively first few laps. So it is Harry Arruabarrena who lines up in pole position in the PCR Sport car, and Arruabarrena, who was not really in the mix for victory yesterday, could have a defensive job in his hands. Nelson Luke lines up in 2nd place, and Luke was involved in a first lap incident which eventually forced the French driver into retirement, but he has got good pace and a good start. Could at least see him controlling the field in the early stages. David Cebrian was one of the stars of yesterday's race, really pushing, great scrap as well with Alex Morgan, and the Spaniard obviously wanting to impress in his home event and looking to improve on his 6th place finish from race 1. 4th on the grid is Munkong Sathian Thirikul, who finished 12th yesterday, having faded after some fairly frenetic dicing in the early stages. Thumbs up and the wave to the camera. Facundo Della Motta, perennial front runner this season. He starts in 5th in the Vaporo Motorsport car, and Della Motta certainly a driver who could be in the mix-up for the podium as the race unfolds. Alex Morgan then lines up in 6th place. Morgan, who finished 5th yesterday after race-long pressure from David Cebrian, but the early contact just knocked the tracking out a little bit, and so he knows that with the car working exactly as it should do, that he could threaten for victory. So this is the driver who is racing for the championships. Niels Langeveld, fully focused on the job ahead. He did a superb job in yesterday's race, passing Michael Ascona and then chasing down Julien Brichet late on. And so he lines up in 7th. The driver who spent the first 2/3 yesterday's race battling with Michael Ascona, who was in championship contention coming to the weekend, but his 4th place finish yesterday means that he can no longer claim the crown. Stian Poulsen, the Norwegian, has got plenty to do, needs to win this race and hope that other events fall in his favour, but he has been a star of the championship since 2014, and he's certainly got the ability to race through the field. Julien Brichet led most of yesterday's race before fading late on and eventually being shuffled all the way down into 3rd, but the Frenchman, again a multiple race winner over the last few years in the Seat Leon Euro Cup. So the grid beginning to be cleared. When we do get going, it's a 14-lap race, and here is how line up in full. Harry Arruabarrena and Nelson Luke on the front row from David Cebrian and Munkong Sathian Thirikul on row 2. Then it's Facundo Della Motta and Alex Morgan. Very strong rows 4 and 5, as you'd expect in the reverse grid race. So Niels Langeveld, Michael Ascona on row 4, just clear of Stian Poulsen and Julien Brichet. Then it's Lucas Oruch and Lorenzo Beirao-Diviega, both of whom should push on towards top 10 finishes. Marco Pellegrini and Nicola Baldan, ahead of Jacopo Garcia and Alberto Vescovi. Then Ruben Martinez and Sebasti Scalera, another of the Vaporo cars. Carlotta Fedeli and Mari Bausca-Pens are the 2 competitors for the Lady Drivers Trophy, which was claimed yesterday by Mari Bausca-Pens. So, very healthy 21-car field lined up for this season finale. And it's all smiles with the Seat Sport crew as they head back to watch from the pit boxes. Reverse grid races are always great fun. The fact that it's the final race of the season is going to only make this more entertaining. If we do have any incidents and the safety car comes out, then we have got the option to revert to the 40 minutes timed race. And no morning warm-up for these cars. Qualifying was yesterday, and so they've had one installation lap to the grid, but the formation lap is going to be their best opportunity then to see how the track has changed since yesterday. There was the most spectacular thunderstorms that came in over the circuit at about 7:30 last night, completely washing away all the rubber that had been laid down during the weekend. And the various qualifying sessions this morning have shown the track to be very slippery. So that is going to be a little bit of a challenge for the drivers, because the start and finish straight underneath the grandstands is still fairly damp, but the sun is peeking through on the rest of the track, and so it is by and large dry, just a little bit slippery in places. So it will be the responsibility of Harry Arruabarrena to lead the field around on the formation lap, get a little bit of heat into the Yokohama tyre. It's Nelson Luke slightly slower away, as was Michele Ascona, but they all seem to be fired up now and heading down steeply towards turn 1. And still in the shade, so that's going to be very interesting on the brakes for the first lap. So they swing through the right-hander and the left-hander at turn 2, as they would then look to climb uphill into turn 3. So this is the opening sweep. As you can see, not any damp patches there on the racing line. Then turn 3, this is when they'll start to ask a lot of the aerodynamic and mechanical grip of the 330 brake horsepower Seat Leon Euro Cup car, before they move down through the 5-speed sequential gearbox on the brakes into turn 4. It is a good overtaking opportunity. And then also, as you come out of turn 4 into the tight left-hand hairpin at turn 5, another great possibility to catch your rivals by surprise. So there is the white car with the black bonnet of Niels Langeveld, and the man he's fighting for in the championship, Stian Poulsen. Poulsen, the prominently white car with the black sides to it. Those are the cars to keep track of. If Langeveld finishes ahead of Poulsen, the championship is his. If Poulsen doesn't win the race, the title is Langeveld's. So the arithmetic is fairly simple, and really the hard work is all Poulsen's to do. But there are certainly many others who could challenge for the victory, not least the British driver Alex Morgan, who raced with great success in the United Kingdom in Renault Clios before making the step up to international competition with the Seat Leon Euro Cup. It's the field all heading now out of turn 9, downhill towards turn 10. This is another of the good overtaking opportunities. Heavy braking zone into the left-hander before working through the final sector on the lap. Another left at turn 11 that then feeds into the long right-hander at turn 12. Langeveld just sliding the tail of his car, getting some more within the tires. The same for Julien Brichet. So Harry Arruabarrena brings them through the chicane and then back round to the grid, where it will be a standing start. It's been a great season of racing, this, for the Seat Leon Euro Cup. They have had trips around 7 of Europe's finest circuits. We started the year in Estoril before heading on to Silverstone in May, Paul Ricard in June, Mugello in July, the Red Bull Ring, and then Nürburgring in back-to-back weekends in September, before coming here to Barcelona for the season finale. There is Alberto Vescovi, sure to be in the thick of the action. Vescovi, some frenetic dicing all the way through the field in race 1, and we can expect the same surely again in race 2. So the pack coming to a halt. Everybody is ready and waiting for the Seat Leon Euro Cup to get underway for the final time in the 2016 campaign. The last couple of rows peeling into place now. As Murray Balskopens comes to a halt, it will be eyes to the gantry time. The marshal at the back signals that we're ready to go, so the red lights are about to come on as the revs rise here in Barcelona. The lights are on, they go out, and we're racing for the last time in 2016. It's a very good start from Alex Morgan, but Niels Langeveld gets boxed in. He anticipated the start well, but has been caught. We've got one car that's left stranded on the grid as Nelson Luke leads the way from David Cebrian into the first turn. Then it's Morgan in third and contact behind, and it's Stian Poulsen who's in trouble, and Langeveld makes contact with Poulsen as well. We've got another car that's beached in the gravel trap, but Stian Poulsen is static and spun at the first turn. Langeveld is back on his way, and I think they just got caught out by the slippery surface, and it was Nelson Luke who was our spinner as well into the gravel. So it's David Cebrian who leads, Alex Morgan second, Michael Ascona is third, with Munkong Sathienthirakul in fourth. But now this could be a great scrap between Morgan and Cebrian, a repeat of what we enjoyed yesterday. Meanwhile, Lorenco Beirao de Viega optimistic to the inside of Facundo Della Motta, who drifts the car through turn 5, loses the place, has contact as he rejoins with Marco Pellegrini. And the driver who is benefiting from all of this is Langeveld. You can see the door stoved in on the Dutchman's car, but he's still running, unlike Stian Poulsen, who is yet to come through the first sector. Meanwhile, the front of the field, David Cebrian leads the way from Morgan Ascona, then Sathienthirakul, Harry Arruabarrena, sporting a damaged rear bumper. There is Niels Langeveld in about 10th place. I think he's just come up to 9th, ahead of Lucas Oruk, as they come through second sector. And as I say, with Poulsen appearing to be out of the race, Langeveld has won the championship, even if he were to park the car at this point. So Niels Langeveld, I'm sure, will get that message as he passes his pit board. Here's another look at it. Nelson Luke gets caught out. He spins. There was contact further behind, and Poulsen was caught in the middle of it. So there's Luke going around. Poulsen, I think, got a tag from somebody, and then as Langeveld took evasive action, he got clouted by Stian Poulsen. It's the contact further back. Facundo Della Motta, assisted by Lorenco Beirao de Viega, and then getting some more assistance from those coming past. So you can see the recovery work ongoing on Stian Poulsen's car. He's out of the race. Niels Langeveld is the champion, but who is going to win the final race of the year? That's what the next 13 laps are going to tell us. Julien Brichet looks to the inside of Harry Arruabarrena as they head around turn 4. Brichet possibly not got the ideal track position for turn 5. Arruabarrena could fight back. Julien Brichet also sporting some damage. So there's our champion, Niels Langeveld. Langeveld can enjoy himself as he moves clear of Marco Pellegrini. Meanwhile, David Cebrian and Alex Morgan, Michael Ascona, that leading trio just beginning to break away from the rest of the field. And then we've got this great scrap going on behind for fourth. Yellow flags still covering turn 1 as Ascona looks to the inside of Morgan. Michael Ascona might go through here. Alex Morgan sees him coming, gives him racing room, but then looks to fight back on the switchback for turn 11. Will Ascona repay the favour in terms of giving some space? Yes, he does. So Morgan regains second position. But as he and Ascona battle, it's going to open up the opportunity for David Cebrian to break clear. But what we saw in yesterday's race, though, was to run at full pelt on the Yokohama tyre for the full 14 laps, was leaving one or two of them running out of grip in the later stages. So they've got to apply a level of tactical thinking to the race. In terms of the Lady Drivers' Trophy, it's currently Carlotta Fedeli who heads that. As the field all sprint through the final turn, down the front straight, thundering past the grandstands. Morgan just covers the inside line. No overtaking, of course, possible. Through turn 1, Nelson Luke and Stian Poulsen, the two drivers who retired as a result of it. Jacopo Garcia also into the pits after various adventures on the first lap. Here's another look at that pass from Michael Ascona, launching to the inside. Morgan knew the switchback was on, and Ascona, recognising it was just the second lap of the race, not turning across Morgan. So they're free to keep dicing. Trying to chase down the race leader, David Cebrian. Meanwhile, we've got plenty of groups of cars all bunching together, enjoying the chance to do battle. It's Carlotta Fedeli and Alberto Vescovi fight. Alex Morgan coming back onto terms with David Cebrian. They might be joined in fairly short order, you know, by Julien Brichet, who has found a way around Munkong Sathian Thirikul. Meanwhile, Lucas Orrock, Marco Pellegrini and Scalera busy doing battle as well, as this time it's Morgan who tries to show himself to the inside of David Cebrian. Ascona looks to apply the pressure from behind as they head out of turn 12 onto turn 13. Right-hander that feeds them sharply downhill into the chicane. Renko Beirao de Viega heading the next group of cars. He's also passed Munkong Sathian Thirikul to go fifth. Harry Arbarena and Niels Langeveld part of that group. There is Langeveld. He's gained a place on this lap. He's now 7th. Now, will Niels Langeveld be able to seal the championship with a podium finish? He's not going to make any ground, of course, into turn 1. As you can see, the waved yellow flag's still there, signifying that the recovery work is ongoing. Then they climb out of turn 2 into turn 3. Facundo Della Motta having a little bit of a nibble to the inside of Marco Pellegrini. They're going to be joined by Nicola Baldan as well in the bright red 108 car, as Langeveld closes onto the tail of Munkong Sathian Thirikul. Sathian Thirikul might have to get his defensive hat on here, as Ascona tries to challenge Morgan and almost gets the overlap as they swing downhill out of turn 5 through turn 6 into 7 and 8. And this is a yo-yo battle, isn't it? Because as soon as Ascona applies the pressure to Morgan, it just allows David Cebrian to buy himself a little bit of clear air at the front of the field. But the quickest driver in the race, Julien Brichet, is closing in 4th position. And after the remarkable performance yesterday of Niels Langeveld late on, he should not be discounted either. This is the beauty of this championship. As soon as the cars start dicing, they really do bunch themselves up very nicely. Langeveld has spent most of this lap backed up behind Munkong Sathian Thirikul. I expect, given the heft of the bump that he got from Stian Poulsen, that all is probably not exactly as he'd like it to be in the handling department. That side of the car looks fine. It's when you look at the other side of it and the door is all jammed in that you realise just how heavy that contact was. Nicola Baldan, 13th place, still trailing Facundo Della Motta. You can see as they go out over the AstroTurf just how slippery it is as well. Yellow flag still covering the first turn. As now Langeveld looks to try and pick his way past Munkong Sathian Thirikul. Sathian Thirikul, though, hugs the inside of the road through turn 3. As they sweep out towards turn 4, Langeveld wanted to go to the inside there, but he's not quite close enough to the tyre driver, so he has to think better of it. Meanwhile, Morgan has shaken off Ascona and immediately trying to come back at David Cebrian. Cebrian that last lap, 4/10 quicker than Morgan and Ascona. And interestingly, Julien Brichet actually a whole second slower than David Cebrian. So it just stretches the leading group a little bit. But the tyre management over the course of the whole race, of course, is going to be the really key factor here, and that's what we're going to be trying to keep an eye on as Munkong Sathian Thirikul, Niels Langeveld head down out of turn 9. A mistake from Julien Brichet as well. He kicks up the gravel, gives Renko Beirao de Viega the chance to close up onto the Frenchman. There you see Langeveld's door. Probably going to be available on an internet auction site, autographed by the 2016 champion before the day's out, as Ascona kicks the tail of the car down out of turn 13. Lankeveld the same. Rides the curbs at turn 14. I was talking to some of the drivers in the paddock last night. They were saying that actually if you launch over the curbs in the right way through that chicane, it's worth a couple of tenths of a second a lap. Next group of cars, headed by Harriet Arabreina. Then we have got Lucas Orrick looking to join in as again. They all close up to these groups at the front of the field. Lankeveld still behind Sathi and Thirikul. It's the turn of the Renko Bear out of Jaeger to make the slight error through turn 1. Gives Sathi and Thirikul the chance to challenge now as they sweep out of turn 3. We're on the 6th lap of the race. And the leading battle all just closing up on itself once more. The same for the fight for 4th. Down into turn 5. Still the yellow flags covering the first couple of turns on the track. I imagine that it's only going to be another lap or so before they are retreated. The front splits of the car just grinding against the asphalt as the downward pressure on the brakes into turn 7, but they need to be on the throttle as early as they dare. Steeply uphill towards turn 9, out of the right-hander, down towards turn 10. South Sport team watch on as Sathi and Thirikul asking all the right questions here. Renko Bear out of Jaeger. Yellow flags now in over at turn 1, so this time around they will be able to start to challenge into that first turn. But David Cebrian, who has led ever since the first corner, hasn't been threatened as yet by Alex Morgan. Morgan is staying with him, but he's not been close enough to really challenge. But now he's going to have the benefit of the slipstream down the start and finish straight, and no yellow flags at the end of it. So that might present an opportunity. The same for Safi and Thirikul and Lankeveld as they attempt to overhaul the Renko Bear out of Jaeger. We're into the 7th lap of the race that will take us to the halfway point. Through turn 1, then out of turn 2, uphill. Feel the G-forces piling on as they climb through turn 3. Never-ending right-hander. Starts to ask a lot of the driver fitness and, of course, the tyres as the race unfolds. And on the brakes into turn 4. Front of the field though, David Cebrian, he's taking Alex Morgan with him, but Morgan's now been able to gap Michael Lascona. Scona's got Julien Brichet closing up, and then the Renko Bear out of Jaeger in 5th. A little bit of a cork in the bottle because Munkong Sathi and Thirikul and Niels Lankeveld arguably a bit quicker. Replay meanwhile of Sebasti Scalera darting to the inside of Lucas Orrick. That move for 9th place. Also Marie Baus-Coppens getting into a spot of bother. In fact, getting out very close to the tyre wall. The gravel trap doing its job and stopping the JSB competition car from clouting the wall. But it does hand Carlotta Fedeli an even more dominant lead of the Lady Drivers' Trophy. Cebrian and Morgan, they've been inseparable all weekend. Yesterday it was Alex Morgan who had David Cebrian behind him for the whole race. Now the boot is on the other foot. Morgan can see if he can try and ease his way past David Cebrian, if he possibly can. Meanwhile, Sathi and Thirikul looking to line up another good run on Renko Bear out of Jaeger as they head down the start and finish straight. Morgan shows himself in Cebrian's mirrors. Brichet to the mirrors of Ascona, and Niels Lankeveld pulls the pin, launches the inside of Sathi and Thirikul and slots into 6th place. Great move from Niels Lankeveld. So the Dutch driver gains another position. He's already won the championship with the retirement of Stian Poulsen. So this is a race that he can enjoy. Now Alex Morgan, he's been on the podium several times this year. He's not yet won a race, on my reckoning. Is this going to be the opportunity for Morgan to launch onto the top step of the rostrum. He's certainly sitting there behind Cebrian, and we've still got half the race to play with. And after yesterday, that late spurt from Niels Langeveld, where he closed down 3 seconds to Julien Brichet late on, I think we can be confident that the story of the race is not yet fully told. Through turn 9, all of them out to the very periphery of the circuit. The heat haze shimmers off as Morgan closes up under braking to the tail of David Cebrian's car. Now this is as close as Morgan has been so far, and he's just already starting to force a little bit more movement from the tail of David Cebrian's Seat as he went through turn 12, and again at 13 up onto 3 wheels, flip-flopping through the chicane, and Morgan appreciably closer, and he might, with a good run through the final turn, actually be able to challenge as they head into turn 1, because there's only a car length between them. Cebrian out over the AstroTurf, keeps his foot in down the start and finish straight, and Morgan is trying to close in the toe here. Is David Cebrian going to feel the need to defend? Yep, he does. And Morgan's still going to go for it, looks to the inside, and then slots back in behind Cebrian, but he forced the Spaniard offline as they came into turn 1. So it means through turn 3, Morgan right in the turbulent air from the car in front. Feels the pressure building up as they then run towards turn 4. Now, yesterday, Alex Morgan withstood 14 laps of this sort of pressure from David Cebrian. What about Cebrian with the boot on the other foot? He's got another 5.5 laps to hold on for, with Ascona and Brichet looking to try and close up. Meanwhile, Lourenco Barão de Veiga, Niels Langeveld and Munkong Sathian Thirikul still disputing 5th. Then, back from this group, it's Sebastian Scalera ahead of Lucas Oruc and Harriet Arruabarrena as Nicola Baldan took a trip to the beach and back, didn't lose any ground. Out to turn 9, downhill towards turn 10. This is another good overtaking opportunity. Morgan bobs and weaves behind Cebrian, but Cebrian not at all fazed by the movement of the car in his mirrors. And by this stage of the season, all the drivers will know exactly where they can get on the brakes, exactly how hard they can push and when. So that helps aid their judgment as Lourenco Barão de Veiga has got Langeveld closing up onto his tail. Here's Langeveld thinking about moving through into 5th. You get a feeling that if he can pick his way past Lourenco Barão de Veiga in the next lap or 2, further progress could be on the cards if he can chase the gap down in the way that he was able to do yesterday. So out of the final turn, along the start and finish straight into lap 10. 5 to go again. Morgan shows himself to Cebrian. He's not close enough. Langeveld likewise not close enough to Lourenco Barão de Veiga. Stop the Portuguese driver preemptively defending, going slightly offline. It almost gives half an opening to Langeveld, but the Portuguese moves across, covers the line again as they came out of turn 3. This is the opportunity for Alex Morgan, or is it? Cebrian again shuts the door, and Morgan wasn't quite alongside enough to make that move a slam dunk without giving Cebrian the opportunity to really box him out. But now the pressure is really starting to be applied again. Morgan picking and choosing his racing line at wheel. David Cebrian hugging the inside of the road through turn 5, through the left-hand sweep at turn 6, and on to turn 7 and 8, climbing on uphill. The leading duo running pretty much as one. Again, Morgan just moving around behind Cebrian, showing himself to his rival at every opportunity. They run down towards turn 10. Morgan looks to the outside, thinks about selling the dummy to Cebrian. Balances the car nicely on the brakes. No change in the fight behind, although Langeveld pushing very hard. The leaders to turn 12, onto 3 wheels for David Cebrian. The aerodynamic and mechanical forces at play in these cars, quite something to behold when they're being driven absolutely at the limit. flip-flop through the chicane. Ascona and Brechet still busy doing battle. And of course, as Cebrian defends from Morgan, that gives Ascona and Brechet the chance to close in. So they flash across the line, complete lap 10. 4 laps remain in the season. And Niels Langeveld has dropped behind Munkong Sathian Thirikul. Didn't quite see what happened or how it happened. Langeveld there looks to fight back to the inside at turn 1. Still pretty slippery offline, isn't it? You can see the extent to which the car is moving, and it allows Sathian Thirikul to try and draw alongside as they climb uphill towards turn 3. But around the outside there is going to be a very, very big ask. Again, Morgan looking to challenge to the inside of Cebrian at turn 4. He's not close enough to throw it to the inside line at turn 5. Means that Cebrian gets a corner off defending. Again, slipping and sliding. He's going to have Sathian Thirikul back onto his tail. I think it's unlikely to be a podium finish to celebrate the championship for Niels Langeveld, but he has had an absolutely fantastic year. And it's really the victory yesterday, which is the result that, together with his clean sweep earlier in the year, Paul Ricard, that are the results that are really going to set up that championship performance. So now 3 1/4 laps remain. Will it be David Cebrian, Alex Morgan to win the final race of the season? Will it be somebody else altogether? But Morgan, his driving style suggests that he's not going to take any risks making the move on David Cebrian unless he's really confident that it's likely to come off, because he knows that if he and Cebrian slow themselves down, it's going to allow Ascona and Brechet to be on them in a heartbeat. It's down the start and finish straight. 3 laps remain. The leading quartet covered by 1.9 seconds. Then we've got the gap back to Lorenco Beirao-de-Viega, Munkong Sathian Thirikul, and then Niels Langeveld. Langeveld dropping back behind the tyre driver once more. Sebastian Scalera is 8th. Lucas Orrock is 9th. Marco Pellegrini is 10th. Carlotta Fedeli remains the leader of the Lady Drivers' Trophy in 17th position. So there is our 2016 champion Niels Langeveld in pursuit of Munkong Sathian Thirikul. The leading quartet appear to be a little bit closer to each other, possibly on this lap, as Nicola Baldan and Marco Pellegrini continue to do battle. Baldan the bright red car, Pellegrini the multicoloured entry. They run downhill out of turn 5. They're battling for 10th and 11th. There's a big twitch for Mikel Ascona as he was right out at the edge of the road on the exit of turn 9. But not a twitch such that Julien Brechet could take advantage of it. Meanwhile, Sebastian Scalera and Lucas Orrock continuing to have a good scrap. Scalera, the car with the green roof. We've still got all these groups of cars busy dicing. They want to go into the winter on a high, as Pellegrini and Baldan disputing the final points paying place. Final spot in the top 10. Just over 2 laps to sort it out. Meanwhile, Morgan a little bit closer to David Cebrian once more. The same goes for Julien Brechet, tucked up behind Mikel Ascona. So the race leaders for the penultimate time of asking head through the opening complex. All the top 3 places a little bit up for grabs. Of course, it's always one thing to catch the car in front, it's quite another to find your way past, particularly if you're able to defend the place at the end of the straight, as Pellegrini did then. But Baldan sees a gap to the inside at turn 3 and is going to launch it. That's a great opportunistic move from Nicola Baldan, Marco Pellegrini, I just wonder if he has possibly got some somewhat second-hand tyres, because he was just that bit more cautious than Baldan heading through the high-speed, long radius turn 3, which really asks all the questions of the rubber. Into turn 5, Baldan and Pellegrini fighting over 10th. They've got no cars immediately behind them, no cars immediately in front of them, so there's not an awful lot for them to worry about. The race leaders downhill towards turn 10 once more. And as much as it has been throughout the course of the race, that David Sebriat is just soaking up the pressure that Alex Morgan is able to proffer. The same for Michael Ascona and Julien Brichet. Brichet possibly with the front spoiler flapping just a little bit. He hasn't got the full aerodynamic benefit. As they pick their way through the chicane, Ascona runs wide. He has to take to the escape route. Argument he possibly gained something there over Julien Brichet. They head into the last lap of the race now. Morgan is going to have one final run, as all contact behind and tapped sideways is Facundo Della Motta, and that was Ruben Martinez. He just misjudged it. Meanwhile, Morgan did get the run on Sebrian, and he's going to go for it and forces his way to the inside. Oh, brilliant move, back contact, and Sebrian's fired into the tyre wall. There's damage as well for Morgan as he slews back onto the road, and it's Michael Ascona who takes the lead of the race on the final lap. Morgan went for the move. They didn't really give each other enough space. A furious David Sebrian as Morgan's tyre has gone always completely sideways into turn 4. He's going to try and survive here as there's smoke rubbing. So Ascona leads. Second place is Julien Brichet. Third is just about Alex Morgan, despite the attention of Lourenco Beirao de Viega. And Beirao de Viega and Munkong Sathian Thirikul now punch their way past. Here's another look at it. Morgan swept to the outside. He was alongside Sebrian into turn 2, and they just made contact on the exit, and it fired Sebrian into the tyre wall. He crunched into the wall. Morgan sustaining some damage as well. It's just a case of neither driver giving each other quite enough room. So Ascona en route to potentially quite an unlikely victory. Third place still up for grabs as Beirao defends from Munkong Sathian Thirikul. Chance for either of these drivers to score a most unlikely rostrum, even given how things look going into this lap, as Lourenco Beirao slides through turn 12 and Sathian Thirikul goes past him. So Munkong Sathian Thirikul into third. Just a couple of corners remain through the chicane. Julien Brichet closing up onto Michael Ascona as they launch over the curbs and into the final turn. But it's going to be a win in the final Seat Leon Eurocup race of the season for Michael Ascona. Second place to Julien Brichet, and Munkong Sathian Thirikul completing the podium, finishing just ahead of Lourenco Beirao de Viega and Niels Langeveld, with Alex Morgan crabbing across the line to take 6th. 7th for Sebasti Scalera, and 7th for Lucas Oruch, 8th for Nicola Baldan, 9th for Sebasti Scalera, and then Marco Pellegrini also clearly was in the wars on the last lap, limps across the line to take 10th ahead of Harriet Arabarena. Well, what a dramatic last lap of the race that was. It all suddenly kicked into life. And for Julien Brichet and Michael Ascona, the chance for them to celebrate. Niels Langeveld, however, is our 2016 Seat Leon Eurocup champion. And so the Baporo Motorsport team will celebrate with Langeveld. The PCR Sport team will celebrate with Michael Ascona, winning the final race of the year here in Barcelona. So let's have a check of that final classification then. Ascona takes the win from Julien Brichet. Munkong Sathian Thirikul in third from Lourenco Beirao de Viega. Niels Langeveld, our champion, in fifth, ahead of Alex Morgan in sixth, Lucas Oruch seventh, Nicola Baldan in eighth from Sebasti Scalera, and Marco Pellegrini to complete the top 10. Then it was Harriet Arabarena, Facundo Della Motta, Alberto Vescovi, and Ruben Martinez. Marie Bauskopens through the final couple laps of the race, taking the Lady Drivers' Trophy victory ahead of Moritz Sandberg and Carlotta Fedeli, who completed the finishers. So in terms of the championship then, Niels Langeveld, our champion. That win for Michael Ascona, enough to jump him up ahead of Stian Poulsen to second in the standings. So Poulsen finishes in third, Alex Morgan fourth from Julien Brichet, Lorraine Cabrera de Viega, Lucas Oruck, Facundo de la Motta, Lucille Cipriano and Mario Dablanda. So thoroughly entertaining season of competition in the Seat Leon Euro Cup once more. Niels Langeveld, a very worthy and deserving champion for 2016. Another look then at this last lap move. Sebrian defended. The move was certainly on Morgan alongside. They just didn't quite give each other enough space and contingency that they might understeer out wide. Here's another look at it. And unfortunately that contact damaging both cars. A furious Sebrian into the tyre wall and damage to the rear right suspension of Morgan's car. Really doing a very good job to hold on to it. Unfortunately, as the wheel kicked loose, again, Morgan all over the road, but he kept it pointing in something like the right direction. Eventually finished in sixth. So Ascona rolls in to Part Ferme, jumps out of the car and celebrates. To the applause of the mechanics in Part Ferme. He thoroughly enjoyed that. And is carried off by the team in celebration. Second in the championship for Michael Ascona. For Julien Brichet. He smiles and debriefs with the team and explains what happened on the last lap. As Ascona overjoyed in the celebration, it was a lively race, as perhaps you'd expect from the Seat Leon Euro Cup. Well, Arsenal fans of many years ago will be hoping there's not a Steve Morrow incident there involving Michael Ascona, as Julien Brichet, cool as you like, checks the tyre pressures. Thumbs up from Ascona. And third place to Munkong Sathian Thirikul. Great performance from the Thai driver, who was quick throughout the course of the race. Congratulations proffered from a huge group of well-wishers. Glad to have seen the progress of Michael Ascona. It's a superb battle as well. He enjoyed all race long with Julien Brichet, because Brichet was up on his tail for much of the race. And we should be able to hear from our race winner in a few moments' time, when the congratulations are finished. So for Julien Brichet, great performance from the Frenchman, and the same for Michael Ascona. But Niels Langeveld is our 2016 Seat Leon Euro Cup champion. The Dutchman has been the man to beat all year long, and he has been very well rewarded with the crown. Let's hear from our winner.
Congrats, Mick. It was a really good race for you, and you got the second place on the championship, so you must be happy.
Yes, today I'm very happy. We win the last race of the season, and we get the second place of the championship. So today is a really good day for all the team, all my family, and all my people. Y esta carrera se la dedico a mi madre, que es una campeona como yo.
Thanks a lot.
So very happy race winner Michael Ascona. Let's have a look at the best of the action. And off the line, it was David Sebrian who made a superb start, but it was Nelson Luke who led into what proved to be a very slippery turn one. As Luke got on the brakes and turned in, he found the grip wasn't all it should be. He spun around, there was contact behind. Stian Poulsen was involved in it. He thumped into championship rival Niels Langeveld. Poulsen was out on the spot. Langeveld able to continue further around the first lap. Contact between Lorenzo Berardi of Jaeger and Facundo de la Mota sent the Argentinian sideways. Mary Baus-Coppens was pushing very hard en route to Lady Drivers Trophy honours. Sliding off through the gravel as Nicola Baldan was another who was on the ragged edge. At the front of the field, though, we were treated to a race-long scrap between David Cebrian and Alex Morgan, as there was some superb dicing through the field. Marco Pellegrini and Nicola Baldan in particular enjoying their scrap. But Morgan was harrying Cebrian lap after lap at the front of the pack. Facundo de la Mota received a little bit more assistance, unsolicited. This was the move, though, that determined the race. Morgan, last time into turn one, drew alongside David Cebrian. There wasn't quite enough space. They made contact. The Spaniard to the tyre wall. Morgan sideways and slewing. He recovered, but not before Michael Ascona and Julien Brichet, who picked their way past. So it was a win for Michael Ascona. Julien Brichet taking second place, and Munkung Sathian Thirikul to third. And it's Sathian Thirikul who jumps up to the third step on the rostrum and celebrates runner-up Julien Brichet. And race winner Michael Ascona. The huge cheers from the PCR Sport team down at the foot of the rostrum. Mary Baus-Coppens, the winner of the Lady Drivers Trophy, takes her place on the rostrum. Always a very proud moment to be on the top step of the rostrum at your home race, and that is how it's played out today for Michael Ascona here in Barcelona. He wins the final race of the Seat Leon Euro Cup season. So we move on to the trophy presentations. Third place to Munkung Sathian Thirikul. Runner-up Julien Brichet. It's been a good weekend for Julien Brichet. And he celebrates once more on the rostrum. 2 podiums this weekend for Brichet. For Michael Ascona, it was a very nicely balanced drive, and he celebrates the victory in Barcelona and hoists his trophy aloft. 5th place in the race, however, was enough for Niels Langeveld to seal the 2016 Seat Leon Euro Cup Championship. So Marie Baus-Coppens receives the Lady Drivers Trophy Award. The drivers will then make merry with the bubbly on the rostrum, which means that it's time for us to say thank you very much for joining us for this season of racing in the Seat Leon Euro Cup. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Niels Langeveld is our champion, and therefore, as he celebrates and the drivers celebrate on the podium, it's time to say from Ben Evans, goodbye from Barcelona.